And Bill, how do you expect the atmosphere playing a road game at Nebraska to differ than the other three Big Ten road games you played?
Well, I would expect that this atmosphere will be very loud, very intense. From what I hear, I've never been to Nebraska, but from what I hear, they have very respectful fans. They're loud, they cheer for their team, and they appreciate an opponent that plays hard and plays clean. And so I just we're really looking forward to it. It's it's like Nebraska, Penn State. I mean, that's what college football is all about. You know, you have two big-time college football programs that have two good coaching staffs and good players, and playing in a great game day atmosphere in Lincoln. Hopefully it's a lot of fun.
And that was Bill O'Brien talking about the great tradition of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Should be a fun game this week. Here we are once again, Fight on State weekly Bill O'Brien press conference wrap. I'm Mark Brennan. This is Greg Pickel, and we're actually in the end zone at Beaver Stadium. Let's get straight to the point. The question everybody wants to know: the status of Jordan Hill, defensive tackle, was injured against Purdue, and Kyle Carter, who was injured against Ohio State.
Yeah, he was listed in the injury report, both of them as day-to-day. It's the first time I've ever seen anyone listed as day-to-day on an injury report. But O'Brien didn't expound much. He said they check him out every day. And Mark actually asked how much they're actually able to do in practice, and he said they've been able to do some things. So very non-committal as to their health. Basically, we know as much as we always do day to day. Both of them have been getting treatment, of course, and been getting looked at, but he hasn't really expounded on how the MRI was. Of course, it sounds like it was negative for Hill, but yes, not a whole lot day to day. We'll know more later in the week.
Yeah, and it's kind of, par for the course with Bill O'Brien. That's the way he has been with these things. I completely get it. Right. No reason to give Nebraska any, inside info or a heads up. Probably want to make them prepared as if both guys are going to play. Kyle Carter, we're here. It's Tuesday. Last week at the Wednesday practice, he did some limited things. Now, obviously, Jordan Hill was injured. It was it looked like an ankle or something.
Knee,
knee. I'm sorry. In the Purdue game, afterward, he told some reporters he thought he was going to be okay, but he was still walking around kind of gingerly. Obviously, Kyle Carter, you'd love to have him. Right. Would be a great player for you. But they do have tight ends, and we saw it against Purdue, who could pick it up. With respect to Jordan Hill, as well as Nebraska runs the ball, wow! I mean, if they don't have him, that's going to be a big difference. And this is no disrespect to the James Terrys or the Kyle Boblitzes, but this is an All-American caliber player, and to not have him against Nebraska would really hurt.
Yeah, I think that you make a very good point. And Bill O'Brien talked about today how much he was pleased with the way James Terry and Kyle Boblitz has played. But I don't think defensive tackle is the position on this team, like tight end, that you can just fill in and keep rotating through and find the same success. You mentioned Jordan Hill is an All-American caliber guy, and he is. And it's because he clogs up that middle. And again, it's not to say James Terry and Kyle Boblitz couldn't fill that role, but it's really hard to replace somebody like that. And I think that you definitely see the fact that with Kyle Carter, again, like you mentioned, that it's not that you can replace Kyle Carter, but you can more easily find the production that he gives you. I'm not sure you can do the same thing for Jordan Hill.
Yeah, it could be difficult. A lot of times in these press conferences, time is spent looking backward to the previous game. Obviously, that's not the case. Penn State blew out Purdue. Purdue, really not a good team. Right. Nebraska, completely different animal. They've struggled at times this year, but at home, they've been very good. Penn State, obviously, going out to Lincoln. One of the things that Bill O'Brien was asked about, kind of comparing Taylor Martinez, the quarterback, very mobile guy, to Braxton Miller, said both guys are very difficult to prepare for because they do things so well. Right. But I think Braxton Miller's kind of a little bit of a different animal. Taylor Martinez, though, having a good year so far, especially at home for the Cornhuskers.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback. I don't think I quite put him on Braxton Miller's level, but he's another guy another type of quarterback that Penn State struggled with this year. And if you don't have Jordan Hill, it doesn't get any easier to do and contain a guy like Taylor Martinez. He runs well, and that option is what really I think is interesting because they run it so well, especially with Rex Burkhead. Now, is he playing this week? We don't know yet. It's still up in the air. I'm sure he's day-to-day as well.
Right.
But But Martinez and Miller sort of have the same sort of makeup. They're both agile, they're both quick, and they can both make guys miss. I think of Braxton Miller's touchdown right over here, a couple yards away from where we were in the where we are in the third quarter of that Ohio State Penn State game. And I really think that he could be the difference maker Saturday. That ability to get outside the pocket and make things happen.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien also talked about, he kind of went through, he was asked about the depth of the team. He went through position by position, and in the one area that he got to was the secondary and said, really, there just aren't a lot of bodies there. And this is a game where I wonder if that isn't going to come into play, because you really need these guys to come up and run support. But Taylor Martinez will take some deep shots. He can do some things against you. So that secondary played really well. Probably its best game of the year against Purdue, but they are absolutely going to need the Stephon Morrises, the Amoses, Malcolm Willis, Obang, that crew to step up and get it done. There's not a lot of depth there, but these starters are really going to have to get it done in this game.
Yeah, this is where your depth really comes into play. And Malcolm Willis talked about it after Bill O'Brien spoke today. The fact that what they pick up when they decide run or pass, and the fact that Nebraska can show you a pass look when Martinez is designed run, design option. I think that's really what's going to put the test to this secondary for Penn State, is the fact that they may read one thing, but something completely different is designed, and I think they're going to have to pick up on that. As for the depth, you're absolutely right. When you think you have to come up and run support and you come 10 yards forward, only have to sprint 16, 15 yards back to make a play in the pass and pass coverage, it just tires you out. And now it becomes a question of how long can these guys stay healthy and stay conditioned on the field. We know their conditioning program is great. We've heard all about it all season. It's put to the test in a game like this, where you really have to change play by play what you're doing, where you're coming from, where you're lining up. And I think you're absolutely right. The starting four just have to be able to get it done Saturday.
After the Purdue game, Bill O'Brien was asked why we didn't see more of Bill Belton, and he basically said that Zach Zwinak was doing a better job in practice. He was asked directly about that today, and I think he tried to back off a little bit to not suggest that Belton was doing anything wrong in practice, but that Zwinak was just practicing that well. Listen, you're in November, you're heading out to Lincoln. This, to me, seems like one of those games where Zwinak, Zordich, the double Z's could be kind of the key to getting things done for the Penn State ground game.
Yeah, it was a good question somebody had asked about. Is this a ground and pound type of big back run at you, smash you in the mouth November football? And O'Brien didn't exactly say yes, but he pretty much did. He alluded to it. And he also, just to touch back on what Mark said about the Belton question, he sort of did step around it. He fell back to the line of every position is a competition every week. And, of course, he was a little bit more open about it than I thought he might be. Of course, he said to guys like Stankiewicz, like Hill, they're not in danger of losing that starting job. But I think that your guy has to be Zwinak and Zordich. I don't think that Bill Belton, unless he just shows some sort of ample change in the way he plays, is the type of guy you're going to be running between the tackles into this Nebraska defense. I think you're right, Mark. I think you roll with Zordich and Zwinak and just pound away here Saturday against the Cornhuskers defense.
Yeah, I mean, Belton obviously I think could be a better change of pace guy, but in this game, one of the things O'Brien said, he said, I was asking Tony Mancuso, one of the sports information guys, when is it finally going to start snowing around here? He's ready for some of this. For some of this November Big Ten football. Bill O'Brien obviously effusive in his praise of Matt McGloin, and just talking up Matt McGloin, talking about what a good job he's done, how he's kind of embraced the offense, how he's not the most physically gifted guy, but you don't really have to be in this offense. And really, Bill O'Brien was asked, at what time do you kind of start wondering about player of the year and all Big Ten teams? And he basically blew that question off completely. But when he was asked about McGloin, he could not have praised him anymore.
No, I think he was very happy with the way McGloin has played so far this season. And it's just simply, I can't remember his quote exactly, I'm paraphrasing, but just the simpleness of Matt McGloin this year. He's not making a lot of mistakes, folks. He's not forcing a lot of balls. He is, but I don't think it's anywhere near what we saw last year from him. I think that was the biggest thing O'Brien got across today. That and the fact that, again, he's looking for the simple things. He's looking for the open guys, and he's being able to go to O'Brien and make suggestions. give him ideas of what's going on out there. I can't remember exactly the touchdown they pinpointed. Bill O'Brien had said that Matt McGloin had given O'Brien some feedback on slip screens that maybe they should have changed something, and it led to a Penn State touchdown on a deep pass. I think that that's the type of thing that O'Brien's looking for. He said it. You have to earn that as a player to be able to come to the staff and make suggestions and give feedback. And Bill O'Brien has said that Matt McGloin has earned that.
Yeah, and it was actually the Brandon Mosby-Felder touchdown, the first one of his career. Again, another guy. We talked about guys kind of stepping up this year throughout the season who maybe weren't in key roles to start. Zwinak, obviously one of them. A guy like Jesse James kind of filling in real nicely. Mosby-Felder's been starting all along, but he's really, I think, benefited from some of the double coverage and those kind of things that people have sort of been directing over to Allen Robinson. But getting back to McGloin, listen, he's going to be one of the real key guys in this game. We saw against Ohio State he made one mistake. One mistake, and again, we're in this end zone. It was the pick six, and the Buckeyes came down, and it was really one of the worst decisions he made all year. And he manned up to that. He owned that. He cannot make that sort of mistake, because I think there's going to be some points scored in this game, but this is not. I would be shocked if this is a blowout. Number one, either way. I think this is going to be a tight game, and Matt McGloin's going to have to play real well. They're going to have to get some good things from special teams, and the defense is going to have to. I think Nebraska's going to score some points, but I think the defense is going to have to get. If something bad happens, get past it real quickly, kind of regroup, and then go from there. Anything else from the press conference jump out at you today?
No, not really. I think that Bill O'Brien, again, he's really been focused week in and week out on focusing on the week at hand, the task at hand. And I think this Penn State team has a chance to beat Nebraska going into Lincoln. And then he talked about he's very excited to get to Lincoln for the first time and experience what a Big Ten football game is like at Nebraska. I think Penn State's in this game till the end. I don't think a blowout comes, but I do pick the Cornhuskers in this one. I think, again, it comes down to one or two simple things. We saw it against Ohio State. Penn State just has to play, not the perfect game, but you have to play a very good road game to win in Lincoln.
Yeah, one other thing, Bill O'Brien was very, I want to say, kind of serious today. Now, he joked a little bit at times, but he came in. The other thing that was interesting, in a sweatshirt. Now, there was a time when if you wore shorts like I tend to wear to these things, that you might get dressed down a little bit. But Bill O'Brien coming in, you could tell he just came straight from work, was a little bit late, addressed all the questions, and then was out of here. So he was very businesslike in answering everything. I think his nose is really, it has been, it's almost a cliche that they're saying every game's a bowl game, but he knows, again, that this is another big game for this team if they're able to go out and get some things done. I will let people wait to see my prediction either on the Nitwits or on our website, but I think it might be a little bit tough for Penn State this week. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, hey, that's our weekly wrap-up. We're here in the end zone at Beaver Stadium. We elected to come here because it's election day, and if you're watching this on Wednesday, well, we were actually taping this Tuesday. But we look forward to seeing everybody next week. I'm Mark Brennan. This is Greg Pickel from Fight on State. We'll see you again next week.